Welcome back to the Empowered Creative Living for Authors and Aspiring Writers podcast.
Oh, yeah,
The holidays are just around the corner,
they are.
and I can't think of a better time to kind of dive into a topic that's both magical and romantic.
Oh, I love that.
Today we're all about Christmas miracles
Okay.
in fantasy romance.
Nice.
Perfect timing for your writing goals, right?
It really is. It's a fascinating blend.
Yeah.
You've got the fantastical wonder of miracles,
Right.
but you need to make it feel grounded in the emotional reality of a romance.
Exactly.
It's a delicate balance.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
You're telling me? I mean, no one wants a miracle that feels cheesy or out of place.
No, absolutely not.
Luckily, you flagged Regina Paul's blog post.
Yes.
5 tips for writing believable Christmas miracles in fantasy romance.
Such a good one.
Talk about a goldmine for authors.
I know, right?
So we're going to unpack those tips today and hopefully spark some inspiration for our listeners' next story.
Awesome. Let's jump right in. Okay.
Paul's first tip
Yeah.
is all about anchoring the miracle in deep emotional stakes.
Okay.
So it's not just about
All right.
throwing in a magical event for the sake of it.
Gotcha.
The miracle needs to resonate with the character's inner struggles and desires.
It's like, why should your reader care about a miracle if they don't care about the characters experiencing it? It needs to feel personal.
Exactly. A great example is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern.
Oh, I love that book.
Yeah, the magical acts are stunning,
Mm-hmm.
but it's how they tie in to the character's love, loss, and longing that gives them real weight.
Oh, okay.
The miracle becomes a reflection of their emotional journey.
That makes total sense. Now it's making sense.
Yeah.
So, like, imagine you're writing a scene where your characters are separated by a blizzard.
Okay.
Then, boom, a Christmas miracle reunites them.
Right.
But if we haven't felt their longing, the heartache of being apart,
Yeah,
the miracle just falls flat.
absolutely.
Right.
And to really bring those emotions to life.
Paul suggests using sensory details.
Oh, okay.
Imagine describing the scent of pine filling the air as the characters reunite,
Oh, I love it.
or the soft glow of candlelight illuminating their faces.
You're hitting on something important here.
Yeah.
It's about creating an immersive experience for the reader.
Yes.
You want the reader to feel like they're right there in this scene,
Mm-hmm.
smelling the pine, feeling the warmth of the fire,
Yes,
experiencing the miracle alongside the characters.
absolutely. Now let's move on to Paul's second tip,
Okay.
which focuses on setting clear rules for your magic.
Go ahead.
Even in a fantasy world,
Yeah.
miracles shouldn't feel random
Right.
or arbitrary.
Okay.
There need to be established guidelines that make the magic feel believable and earned.
It's like creating a set of laws
Yes.
that govern how magic operates in your world, right?
Exactly.
If magic could do anything at any time,
Right.
it loses its impact.
Yeah.
And the reader might feel cheated.
Totally.
Yeah.
Think of it like a game. If you can just change the rules whenever you want, it's not very fun or challenging.
Right.
But if there's a consistent set of rules,
Yeah.
even the most incredible moves feel earned and exciting.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right.
And Paul highlights his Dark Materials by Philip Pullman
Yes.
as a brilliant example of this.
It's a great example.
The magic in that world is rooted in science and philosophy,
Mm-hmm.
creating a system that feels consistent and believable.
Exactly. And to plant those seeds of believability,
Okay.
Paul suggests foreshadowing the miracle
Okay.
through recurring symbols.
Oh, good.
Maybe there's a glowing ornament that appears throughout the story,
Okay.
hinting at the possibility of something extraordinary to come.
That's clever. Foreshadowing adds a layer of mystery and anticipation,
Yes.
making the miracle feel both surprising
Yeah,
and inevitable.
exactly.
You're leading the reader down a path, letting them sense something magical is coming,
Yeah.
without revealing all the cards at once.
Now, before we move on to Paul's next tip.
Yeah. I want to remind you about Regina Paul's website,
Oh, yes, of course.
www.reginapaul.com.
Perfect.
It's a fantastic resource for authors,
It is.
packed with articles, tips,
Mhm.
and an inspiration for your writing journey.
Don't forget to check it out.
Yes.
Now, Paul's third tip
Yeah.
is all about weaving in those timeless Christmas themes.
Oh, I love this one.
You know, the themes of hope, love, redemption, and community
Yes.
that make this holiday so special.
Christmas is more than just presents and decorations.
Yeah, for sure.
It's about those deeper emotions and values that resonate with readers on a heart level.
Absolutely. It's about the spirit of giving, the joy of togetherness, the belief in something bigger than ourselves.
Yes.
These themes tap into something universal,
Yes.
and they can add so much depth and meaning to your Christmas miracle.
And instead of just saying a miracle happened,
Yeah.
think about how you can connect that miracle
Yeah.
to those deeper themes.
Oh, okay. Maybe the miracle involves an act of forgiveness that brings two families back together.
Oh, wow.
Or a selfless act of generosity that transforms a community.
Now you're talking.
Yeah.
You're weaving the magic into the fabric of the story,
Right.
making it feel less like a random event
Yeah.
and more like a natural outgrowth of the character's growth and the spirit of the season.
Exactly. Paul uses A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens
Oh, perfect example.
as a perfect example of this,
Yeah.
even though it's not a fantasy novel.
Right.
Scrooge's transformation is driven by those core Christmas themes of redemption and generosity, making his journey universally relatable and deeply moving.
It's a classic for a reason.
It is.
And it proves that those timeless themes have a power that transcends genre.
Absolutely.
They speak to something fundamental about the human experience, something we all crave, especially during the holidays.
Exactly. Now are you ready to explore Paul's fourth tip?
Let's do it.
Okay, this one's about finding that sweet spot between the wonder of the miracle. Okay.
And the real world struggles your characters face.
Ooh, this is a good one. Because even in a world with magic and flying reindeer,
Right.
readers need to connect with characters who face relatable challenges.
Yeah.
It's about grounding the fantastical in a reality that feels authentic.
It's about showing the human side of your characters.
Yeah.
Even in a fantastical setting.
Right.
Maybe your characters are struggling with grief, financial hardship, loneliness.
Right.
By portraying these relatable challenges, you create a foundation of empathy
Yeah.
and make the miracle feel even more impactful.
It's like if everything is perfect and magical all the time,
Yeah.
it's hard to relate.
Exactly.
But when we see characters grappling with real-world problems,
Yeah.
it makes their triumphs, their moments of joy and wonder, all the more meaningful.
Paul suggests thinking about how those struggles shape your characters' relationships and choices.
Oh, okay.
Maybe a snowstorm traps two characters together.
Forcing them to confront their feelings before a Christmas miracle brings them together.
I love that. You're using the external conflict to mirror the internal conflicts.
Right.
And then the miracle becomes a catalyst for change and growth.
Yes.
Not just a random happily ever after.
And here's a pro tip from Paul.
Okay.
Keep the magic subtle.
Oh.
Instead of going for grand displays of power,
Okay.
focus on small, meaningful details that whisper to the reader, something extraordinary is happening here.
That's such a powerful point.
Yeah.
Sometimes the quietest moments of magic are the most impactful.
Yes.
Like a single snowflake falling at just the right moment, landing on a character's eyelash as they realize they're falling in love, or a long-lost letter arriving on Christmas Eve, reuniting long-separated siblings.
Beautiful. Those little touches can be incredibly magical because they feel personal and intimate. They create a sense of wonder and possibility without overwhelming the reader with spectacle.
And they leave room for the reader's imagination to fill in the gaps.
Yes.
Making the experience even more unique and personal.
Speaking of personal,
Yeah.
are you ready to dive into Paul's fifth and final tip?
Let's do it.
Okay, this one is all about making sure your Christmas miracle is truly meaningful and transformative for your characters.
Yes. We've talked about the emotional stakes, the rules of magic, the Christmas themes, and the balance between wonder and reality.
Right.
But ultimately,
Yes.
the miracle needs to have a lasting impact.
Yes.
It needs to be a catalyst for growth and change.
Absolutely. It should be a turning point in your characters' lives.
Okay.
A moment that challenges their beliefs, priorities, and even their sense of self.
Right.
Think about how the miracle might reaffirm their faith and love, help them forgive a past hurt, or inspire them to pursue their dreams.
So it's not just about the spectacle of the miracle,
No.
but about the ripple effects it creates in the characters' lives.
Yeah.
It's about showing how they evolve and change as a result of experiencing something so extraordinary.
And don't forget about the power of symbolism.
Right.
Paul suggests including subtle changes in your characters after the miracle.
Oh.
Maybe a character who was once closed off starts wearing brighter colors.
Okay.
Or expressing their emotions more openly.
Right.
These little details can speak volumes about their inner transformation.
I can see that.
Yeah.
It's about showing how the miracle has touched them on a deeper level.
Yes.
Changing them from the inside out.
Exactly.
It's like they're blossoming into a new version of themselves.
Exactly. And when it comes to the ending,
Okay.
Paul emphasizes finding a balance between closure
Right.
and the promise of more to come.
Okay.
Let the miracle resolve the main conflict,
Gotcha.
but leave space for future possibilities and challenges.
It's about leaving the reader with a sense of hope and possibility,
Yes.
knowing that even though the immediate problem has been solved,
Yeah.
life goes on. There's still room for growth, discovery, and maybe even more magic down the road.
And remember,
Yeah.
for more guidance on crafting believable Christmas miracles and other writing wisdom,
Yes.
be sure to visit Regina Paul's website.
Yes, exactly.
You can find a wealth of information and inspiration at www.reginapaul.com.
Definitely check it out. It's a must visit for any writer looking to add a touch of magic to their storytelling.
Absolutely. You know, as we're talking about all this, one of the things that really stands out to me is how Paul emphasizes the emotional core of the miracle.
Okay.
It can't just be a spectacle.
Right.
It needs to feel earned and connected to the characters' hearts.
I agree.
Yeah.
That emotional resonance is what makes a miracle truly believable even in a fantastical setting.
Right.
And it's interesting how Paul highlights the importance of balancing that wonder with real-world struggles.
It's like you said before,
Yeah.
those struggles are what ground the characters and make their triumphs all the more powerful.
You know, it's like the darkness before the dawn.
Right.
You need that contrast to appreciate the light.
And speaking of light, Paul's tip about using sensory details to enhance the miracle really stuck with me.
Yeah.
It's such a simple but effective way to transport the reader into the heart of the story.
It's about creating an immersive experience, right?
Yeah.
Don't just tell the reader that a miracle is happening.
Right.
Make them feel it with all their senses.
Okay.
Let them smell the crisp winter air.
Oh, yeah.
Hear the jingling bells.
Okay.
And feel the warmth of a crackling fire as the miracle unfolds.
You're painting a picture with your words. It's like you're creating a sensory symphony that pulls the reader in and makes them a part of the experience.
Exactly.
And, you know, as we talk about this, I'm reminded of that example Paul gave from The Bear and the Nightingale.
Yes.
Where the harsh winter setting almost becomes a character itself.
Yes, it's a brilliant example of how grounding the fantastical
in a tangible sensory world can actually make it feel even more magical.
Right.
The reader can practically feel the icy wind on their face and smell the wood smoke in the air.
Oh, I love that.
It creates a sense of place that makes the miracle all the more believable.
It's like that grounding allows the reader to suspend their disbelief and fully embrace the fantastical elements.
Exactly.
And on that note, let's circle back to that concept of weaving in those timeless Christmas themes.
Yes.
It's such a powerful way to give the miracle depth and resonance.
It's like you're infusing the miracle with the heart and soul of the holiday.
Right.
It's not just a random event.
Yeah.
It's an expression of hope, love, redemption, or the spirit of community.
Yeah.
And those themes resonate with readers on such a deep level, especially during the holiday season.
Think about those classic Christmas stories that we come back to year after year.
Right.
They're not just about Santa and presents, are they?
Oh, absolutely not.
They're about the power of forgiveness.
Yes.
The importance of family and the belief in something bigger than ourselves.
It's about tapping into those universal emotions and values that make Christmas so special.
Yeah.
And when you weave those themes into your miracle,
Right.
you're not just telling a story.
Yeah.
You're creating an experience that connects with the reader on an emotional level.
It's like you're inviting them to revisit those warm, fuzzy feelings they associate with the holidays.
Yeah.
And experience them in a whole new way through your story.
Exactly.
And, you know, while we're focusing on fantasy romance here,
Right.
I think these principles can apply to any genre where you're working with elements of magic and wonder.
Absolutely. Whether you're writing a heartwarming holiday tale, an epic fantasy adventure, or even a science fiction thriller.
Right.
The key is to make the miracle feel earned and meaningful.
Right.
It should serve the story, not overshadow it.
It's like a spice in a recipe.
Yes.
You want just enough to enhance the flavor,
Exactly.
not overpower it.
Right.
And speaking of enhancing flavor, did you have any particular examples from your own reading that you felt really nailed this balance of magic and realism?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
You know, one that comes to mind is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern.
Oh, yeah.
Which we touched on earlier.
Yeah.
The way she weaves magic throughout the story,
Yeah.
transforming the characters and their relationship, is just breathtaking.
It's such a richly imagined world.
It is?
It's like she creates a portal into a realm where anything is possible,
Yes.
but she does it in a way that feels grounded and believable.
Right.
And the ending of that book, the way she brings everything together,
Yeah.
the culmination of all the magic and emotional journeys, it's truly a masterful example of a miracle that feels both inevitable and profoundly moving.
It's like all the threads of the story come together to
Yeah.
create a tapestry of wonder and beauty, and it leaves you with a sense of hope and possibility,
Yeah.
a belief that maybe, just
Yeah.
maybe, magic does exist in the real world too.
And before we get carried away by the magic,
Okay.
let me just remind you again about Regina Paul's website.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
www.reginapaul.com.
Perfect.
If you're looking for more guidance on crafting believable miracles
Right.
and all things writing,
Yeah.
her blog is an absolute treasure trove.
Definitely bookmark that one. She offers so much wisdom and practical advice for authors.
Yes,
She does. And her insights are truly invaluable.
they are.
But now,
Okay.
let's shift gears a bit.
Okay.
I'd love to hear what stands out to you from our discussion so far.
Sure.
Is there a particular tip or example that resonated with you?
You know, it's funny. As you were saying that, I was thinking about Paul's point about subtle magic.
Oh, yeah.
That really resonated with me.
Okay.
It's not always about the grand, flashy displays of power.
Right.
Sometimes the smallest touches can be the most magical.
It's like a whisper instead of a shout, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It draws you in,
Yeah.
makes you lean closer and really pay attention. Think about a scene where your characters are sharing a quiet moment by a fireplace.
Okay.
Maybe they're finally admitting their feelings for each other.
Oh.
And as they lean in for a kiss,
Yeah.
a single snowflake drifts down from the chimney and lands perfectly on their intertwined hands.
Okay, stop. You're giving me chills. That's the kind of magic that melts your heart, isn't it?
It is.
It's so intimate,
Yes.
so perfectly timed.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you believe in miracles.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be a literal snowflake either.
No.
It could be a ray of sunlight hitting a character's face at just the right moment.
Yeah.
Or a long-lost melody suddenly playing on the radio.
It's about using those small sensory details
Yeah.
to create a sense of wonder and possibility.
Exactly.
And I think that ties in beautifully with Paul's emphasis on making the miracle meaningful and transformative.
Because it's not just about the event itself.
Right.
It's about how the characters are changed by it.
Yeah.
It's about their growth, their evolution, the way they see the world differently afterwards.
And remember, those changes don't have to be huge, sweeping transformations.
Right.
Sometimes the most powerful changes are the subtle ones.
Okay.
Maybe a character who was once cynical and closed off starts leaving little gifts for their neighbors.
Okay.
Or maybe a character who was always putting their own needs last finally learns to prioritize their own happiness.
It's those little shifts in behavior, those glimpses of their softer side that really show the impact the miracle has had on them.
Yes.
It's like they're finally blooming into the best versions of themselves.
And that ties in beautifully with Paul's advice about crafting an ending that offers both closure and a sense of possibility.
Okay.
The miracle might solve the immediate problem,
Right.
but it also opens up new horizons for the characters.
It's like you're saying, okay, we've reached a happy ending,
Yeah,
but the journey isn't over.
right.
There's still so much more to explore.
Yeah.
So much potential for growth and happiness.
And, thinking back on all of Paul's tips,
Yeah.
the thing that really strikes me is how interconnected they all are.
Mm-hmm.
You can't have a truly believable and impactful miracle without anchoring it in those deep emotional stakes,
Right.
without establishing those rules of magic,
Right.
without weaving in those timeless Christmas themes.
It's like they're all pieces of a puzzle that fit together to create something truly magical.
Exactly.
And I think that's the beauty of writing, isn't it?
Yes.
It's about taking these seemingly disparate elements
Mhm.
and weaving them together into a tapestry of wonder and emotion.
And for anyone who's feeling inspired to weave their own Christmas miracles,
Yeah.
I can't recommend Regina Paul's website enough.
Absolutely.
You can find it at www.reginapaul.com.
Perfect.
She's got a wealth of resources and insights for writers of all levels,
Yeah.
and she's a true champion for the power of storytelling.
It's a fantastic resource,
It is.
and I encourage everyone to check it out.
Yeah.
But even beyond the technical tips and tricks, I think the most important takeaway from today's deep dive
Mm-hmm.
is the reminder that magic exists. It
Yes.
exists in the stories we tell,
Uh-huh.
in the connections we make,
Yeah.
and in those small everyday moments that make life feel extraordinary.
As we head into the holiday season,
Yeah.
I encourage you to embrace that sense of wonder.
Okay.
Look for the magic in the
Huh.
everyday, in the faces of loved ones, in the
Yeah.
beauty of nature,
Okay.
and in the stories that fill your heart with joy.
Yes.
And if you're a writer,
Mm-hmm.
let that magic flow through your words and onto the page.
Oh,
Who knows? You might even inspire a miracle or two along the way.
beautifully said. And on that note, I think it's time for us to wrap up this magical deep dive.
Okay.
We hope you've enjoyed this exploration of Christmas miracles and fantasy romance.
Yes.
And we hope you feel inspired to create your own stories filled with wonder and enchantment.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for listening to the Empowered Creative Living for Authors and Aspiring Writers podcast. We'll see you next time.